You know what an ostrich does when a lion shows up? It buries its head in the sand, feels safe, doesn't change what happens next. That's you. That's most of you right now with AI. I use AI every single day, all day long. I program with it. I create content for students with it. I respond to emails. I make videos. I don't even use search engines anymore. And I'm not special. I just decided to learn it. So, what is going on with the rest of you? I run workshops with faculty and show them exactly how to use it. I've gone into companies and trained teams on how to integrate AI into their workflows. And a week later, nobody is doing anything I showed them. I feel like I'm getting punked. I use AI to create weekly welcome messages for every one of my classes with current due dates and personal notes about where we are in 30 seconds, something I didn't even do before. I make videos about content we're covering using the latest AI avatars, and my students love it. So, why do I show people how to do this and they refuse? Here's what I think is happening. We call it AI. So, when you try it and it doesn't work perfectly out of the box, you give up. You expected a magic wand and got a power tool. Power tools take practice, but they build things you never could by hand. I have an Uncle Mark. Some years ago, Uncle Mark got mad at me for saying my daughter doesn't need to learn to drive a stick shift. I'd gotten her a Tesla, and I explained to him, you can't just hit a button and it drives you everywhere. The new technology needs to be learned. But he insisted you have to know how to use the stick shift. He was wrong. And so are those of you who think you shouldn't be teaching your students how to use AI in your field. The world has moved to the new technology, and you still think they need the stick shift. Not only that, you want to keep driving the stick shift yourself. You don't use it, and you don't teach them to use it. That doesn't mean they aren't using it. They are. They're just using it badly because their teachers won't show them how. In computer science, companies are using AI to write code right now. The term vibe code has become a dirty word for the working but messy code AI produces. So I teach my students to use it and write code that isn't a mess, code that's structured professionally. I have the same 16 weeks I've always had. The question is, how do I merge what they used to need to know with what they need to know now? It's not easy, but a lazy teacher can sit back and say they only need to know what I say they need to know. You aren't the one sitting in the job interview telling the boss you'll write your code, design your spreadsheet, and create your reports by hand. You fear AI will take your job? If your head is in the sand, we will use it to do just that. Companies around the world are selecting for employees who can use these tools. And you think because you have some precious knowledge in your head, you can't be replaced? Schools are already moving class sizes from 30 to 50. They expect you to become more efficient with AI, not sit around thinking you can keep doing it the way you have for 20 years. The hard truth is, most people don't want to learn new things. You think, I'm out of school. I shouldn't have to learn anything again. I have a PhD. I know everything there is to know. But this isn't about physics or computer science or English. This is about educating students, and that changes. When I went to school, Sage on the stage was how it was done. Then it evolved to flipped classrooms, projects, immersive experiences, internships. You adapted then, you can adapt now. If you aren't using AI in the classroom and you aren't showing your students how to use it, are you giving them the education they deserve? Ask yourself why. Really, why? Why aren't you using AI to improve your materials and your feedback? Why aren't you teaching your students to use AI for tasks that used to be done by hand? I think we need some deep soul searching. I'm here to drag you kicking and screaming into the future, if I have to. But I wish it was easier. I wish you would take what's being offered by your peers and educational technologists and run with it. Whatever tool you choose, just use one. Research where AI is being used in your industry and start teaching your students what they'll need to know when they graduate, not what they used to need to know. I'm Dr. Brian. Please keep coming back. I know these are AI generated videos, but they are not AI generated content. This is me. someone who's been using these tools since they came out, who truly understands the technology behind them, and I will keep guiding you along this journey in AI and education.